the past, British food may have had a reputation problem, but look closer and you'll find a thriving world of small producers making incredible things. This series celebrates those unsung heroes, showing how their craft brings better flavour, a healthier environment and economy, and a richer food culture for all of us. It's November. It's cold, it's wet, and what could really do with is a decent cup of coffee. Lucky then that for this last episode of the series, I'm off to visit Jen, head of coffee at Owens, a local producer that sources specialty grade, Fairtrade organic coffee and roasts it on site to create their own unique blends. Hello, Jen.
Hi, David. How you doing? Nice and wet this morning.
It's a lovely day out there. Yeah.
Come on in.
Yeah, I'm going to take that off. Hi.
Hi.
What a good place to come on a cold, wet day.
Yeah.
Somewhere where you're going to make us a lovely cup of coffee at some point, maybe.
Definitely.
But we're going to learn a little bit about what's going on around here.
Yeah.
What's your role here?
So I'm Jen, obviously. I'm head of coffee here at Owens, and I have been in position for about 2.5 years. So my main role is, as head of coffee, is helping Lorraine, who owns the business, source the coffee beans, source the green beans, and we do that through importers from around the bean belt. So we're bringing in green coffee from all different countries, mainly. So probably our biggest importer is from Peru. So we have Peru, Honduras, Sumatra. I'll take you into there in a minute and show you all the green beans. And then we roast them and we develop a flavour profile and either blend them together to make our blends or we keep them as single origins.
We're standing in this kind of space that actually feels really nice, but you've got these great big pictures up here which kind of show, I guess, the origins and where some of the coffee beans are coming from. Do you want to just show us these and talk through them quickly?
Yeah, of course. So for example, around this wash station, all of these coffee plantations are where farmers own coffee and they'll be picking that coffee. And then they'll bring it down to the wash station and that's where they sell it. So that's how they make their money. So then the coffee goes through a depulper. So that cherry is removed and there's a big mechanical depulping machine that takes the cherry away. And inside there, under the cherry, is a little green bean. So it's then soaked in a vat of water. And you can see all these chambers here, there's the fermentation tanks. So it's just left in there, fermentation tanks for like 12 to 24 hours. So the wet coffee is then transported up to the dry embed. So most of these wash stations are south-facing and then they're dried on these dry-in racks. And that's quite a long process really, like it's weeks until that coffee goes from being a wet coffee bean to a dried coffee, which you can see just here. And it's still got part of the parchment on it. So at this point, we want to get it down to about 11% moisture content before it can go to a dehulling station and have that parchment removed, and then it can be transported all over the globe.
Wow, okay. I think I always imagined coffee beans to be just the actual beans growing on the plant, but actually they're embedded within a small fruit and you have to access that.
A lot of people think that they're already roasted as well. So when we take people on tours, it's a lot of people like mind blown when they see that it's green and not brown when it comes to us. Yeah.
So the fair trade is generally better for the whole community, not just for the farmers. It feeds out into the whole community, is that right?
Yeah, so not only do they get a fair trade price for the coffee, the fair trade premium that we have to pay as businesses, when we make money on the coffee, we have to pay a premium on that. That goes back to the farmers, back to the cooperative, and they can choose what they spend that on. And that investment can go into the farming community, so investment into farming, it can go back into the people who live in the community, so into education, into healthcare, into storage facilities. So the whole community benefits from fair trade coffee. It isn't just an individual or like one cooperative that benefits. So this is our production facility. And you can see here we've got all of our green beans. We're a little bit low at the moment. We're waiting for an order to come through. So I spoke about how we source in from around, we call it the bean belt in the industry. So around the equator line between the Tropic of Capricorn and the Tropic of Cancer are kind of your coffee producing countries. And so we're sourcing from Peru and Sumatra. This is Honduras. We've got some Robusta here. We've got Colombia, Rwanda, which you saw in the images out there. And I'd really like to show you inside one of these Hessian bags, if that's okay. So this is our Honduras. And as you can see, all the information here is on the front of the Hessian sack. And then you've got this grain pro bag. So this is what helps protect the coffee when it's specialty grade. So when that like high quality coffee, it doesn't have to be there, this grain pro bag, but it does help protect the coffee.
I love all the contraptions that I've been discovering on this journey through all these different food producers. Yeah, these kind of Willy Wonka type machines that do things, you know. What's this one do? So
this is our weighing scales. So the Loring roaster takes 30 kilos of coffee. So when I'm roasting, and the production team are roasting here, we're maybe roasting 15 roasts a day, and each roast takes 30 kilos of coffee. So we're scooping 30 kilos of coffee into these scales and we're making our recipe. So we're blending different countries together. So we could be blending Peru and Sumatran, for example, or maybe some Honduras, Peru and Sumatran together. And we've got unique recipes for all of our coffees. So all of our blends are a unique recipe, which have a roast profile, which we've programmed into the roaster here, the Loring. So once we've scooped in 30 kilos, we're going to move the trolley. It's quite labour intensive for this part. So this is the Loring Kestrel, and this was a big investment for the company. So when we moved here in 2018, this was bought, and it's one of the most sustainable roasters that you can buy. So it uses less fuel, produces less emissions, and it allows us to roast a lot more coffee than we were doing in Modbury as well. So this tube connects to the scales, and when the roaster is operational, we will then ask the roaster to lift the coffee. So it's lifting these green beans up into the hopper.
It sucks them up?
Yeah, it does. Okay. Yeah, sucks it up.
It's a massive hoover then, basically.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And then there's huge magnets as well. So this is a big magnet, and so as you can see, my bracelet's just stuck to it. Because sometimes we find other things in coffee, especially when it's an organically farmed, there's other
metal things?
Well, yeah, sometimes, yeah. Wow. And there's stones, and so the other things that you might find in farms. You know, so like I said, sometimes coffee's dried on roofs of houses or on the floor. So you just can't help it. Sometimes bits of gravel gets in. So we need to ensure that doesn't go to the customer. So we've got big magnets here to make sure that we're taking all of that up. I'll show you what we find in a second. Yeah. So we've got 30 kilos of coffee up there in the hopper, and then once this is all up and running, we will go to the screen. The roaster will go to the screen and program in the first roast. And when this drum is up to about 213 degrees, the coffee is dropped in, and there's a big paddle inside which roasts the coffee. Wow. Any idea how long it would roast for?
You're testing me now. A few hours? I don't know.
I love asking this question because some people are like days, some people are hours. It's between 9 minutes and 13 minutes per roast.
Really?
Yeah, it's super quick.
Gosh.
Yeah. So it depends on like how light, medium or dark you want your roast profile, obviously. This is a big cooling chamber and it's cooling that coffee down very, very quickly. So the door opens and you can hear it cracking like popcorn as it comes down into the cooler. So this blows really cold air, cools the coffee down super, super quickly. When the coffee is then dropped here, it's lifted up and sucked into this big drum. But in the meantime, there's magnets which would take out any other stones or anything that might be involved in that process.
How does a magnet take out a stone?
I'll show you. So some of these are the things that we find. So the magnet is that in the scales, and they're the kind of things that we find.
Oh my goodness.
And the destoner finds things like that.
So that's all metal? Or
no, some of it's not.
But the magnet is...
Because there'll be maybe lead in some of the stones.
Oh, it's just really strong magnet.
Yeah, very strong magnet, yeah.
Wow. Well, I'm glad I don't have any of that in my coffee.
No, I don't know if they're going to want that in video. After the coffee's been roasted, it needs to degas. It's letting off quite a lot of carbon dioxide. So we have to put it into these tubs and containers for 12 hours to let a lot of that gas dissipate before we then bag it. So I'll show you the bags in a minute, but there's a valve on the bags, which is a one-way valve that lets carbon dioxide out but doesn't let any oxygen in. So but we don't want that to be too full of gas, so we have to let these degas first. So I'll show you the difference after you've seen that green bean. This is our Gara blend. It's ready to be packed. Wow. We've got that beautiful, you probably smell that, can you?
Yeah, that's that deep, rich, smoky smell. That's lovely.
So very different from how the green coffee smells. So. These barrels here, they've got different coffees in them. So this Gara is one of our blends, and then we have decaf here as well. So we've got lots of different coffees, different origins, but the decaf coffee is quite unique as well.
So it comes decaffeinated?
It does, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
tell us a little bit more about that and show us what's going on.
So there's a fair few ways of decaffeinating coffee, but because we are organic, 100% fair trade and specialty grade, we rely on the Swiss water process here. So this is the only way that we can retain the organic certification for the volume of coffee that we're buying, which is not a huge container of decaffeinated coffee. It's smaller amounts. So the coffee is from Peru originally, and it's moved from Peru over to Vancouver, where they have the Swiss water decaffeination plantation. They have this green coffee tincture, which has got all of the chemicals and the oils and the acids from the coffee, but not the caffeine. And then the green bean from Peru is soaked in that green coffee tincture, and through osmosis, the caffeine's removed.
Oh, okay.
So the caffeine's then burnt away, and the water is recycled, and then the coffee is then dried again and then moved over to and sold back to the UK or wherever it's going from Vancouver. So there's slightly more freight miles involved in the process, but there are no chemicals at all in that decaffeination process. And other forms of decaffeination do have chemicals involved in that. So this is a coffee flavour wheel. So when I'm roasting coffee and afterwards when I'm cupping it and tasting it, these are the kind of flavours that I'm trying to pick out. I'm looking for acidity and bitterness, and just assessing the quality of the coffee.
So, I mean, I found when I'm drinking coffee that it's kind of similar to chocolate in that way, that you get these kind of fruity, sort of maybe sharper ones. You get a more mellow, chocolatey sort of coffee with smoother flavours. Is that, obviously those are kind of represented in some of these charts here. Is that down to the bean? Is it down to the process after you've got the bean, or?
Absolutely, yeah. It's down to the bean. It's down to the country of country of origin, and then it's down to the roaster and how they've roasted it. So your really fruity, delicate flavours are a lighter roast usually, and the more kind of mellow, chocolatey ones maybe a medium roast. And then if you've got those really bitter, kind of smoky flavours, then you're going to be on a very dark roasted coffee. So the roaster's got a lot of control about what happens to the bean, but also the barista or the brewer has the final control element of how that coffee is going to taste. Because I could give you a really, really well-grown, beautifully roasted coffee bean, and then, not you personally, but somebody could make that amazing or could make that really, really bad, by using different brewing methods. So there's a lot of parts, the moving parts of the process of getting the perfectly crafted cup of coffee.
After all the filming, we felt like it might be time for a coffee break. Jen went on to give me a crash course in how to be a barista, a process that was a lot more complicated than I'd expected. It involved cleaning the system of all the residue, selecting the right grind for the beans, weighing the amount of coffee with a digital scale, and then settling the bed before tamping it down. And then finally, timing how long the water passed through the coffee to get the right balance of acidic, sweet and bitter notes. It honestly felt like alchemy. It's not a tea bag, is it? No. It really isn't.
21. I mean, this is going to be, because it's slightly under extracted, it's going to have a little bit more acidity than I possibly want it to. So,
okay.
But you can see like this beautiful crema on the coffee here.
It's like a pint of Guinness, isn't it?
Yeah. Do you want to have a little smell of that?
Yeah. Can I just try that?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so smooth.
It's really nice.
Yeah.
You can taste the chocolate there at the end.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of fruit on
and
the
what bean is this again?
So Bantam. This is our
blend.
blend.
Yes, okay, but what's the origin bean, I guess?
So in Bantam we've got Sumatra and Peru.
Right. You were talking a minute ago about the sort of, I mean, there's a lot of, it's a sort of female-led company essentially, isn't it? And when we were next door, there was lots of ladies working there, and you're the head of coffee here. Is that one of the things that makes Owens unique? And
yeah, I think so. And I think, it definitely wasn't intentional by Lorraine when she was one of the first women that we relieved to start roasting coffee, and back when she started the company. But I think it's been an environment for women which is a safe, inclusive place to work, and you can shine really if you're good at your job, regardless of your gender.
And where next for Owens? Are we're based here in the Southwest. Who have you served in the past? Where are you looking to go in the future?
I think because we're organic and we're Fairtrade, and we're mainly specialty grade coffee, so that does set us apart a little bit from some other roasters. And so we're not looking to dominate mass market, but we'd love to become a nationally recognised, reputable coffee company that, that could be a household name. That would be lovely for us to have in the future.